Are you getting a little bored with your weekly layout and looking to try something new? Don't worry team, I got you. In this video we have 12 different weekly layout ideas for your journal. Starting with our one-page weekly layouts, of which we have 3 different ideas. The first one just takes your page and divides it into 8 sections, so one for each day of the week and then an additional space for whatever you'd like. I've put a habit tracker in here, but this could be a mood tracker, a weather tracker, a short priorities list, whatever you need to use it for. In terms of the spacing, you can see a picture of that here, and I'm going to be giving you one of these pictures for each of the layouts that we have in this video. All of these layouts were set up in my A5 Archer and Olive notebook, which is 13 centimeters or 26 grid spaces across, and 19 centimeters or 38 grid spaces down. So if you're setting these layouts up in a different notebook, just keep in mind that you might need to do some tweaking. This one is nice and simple, but flipping over we have another nice and super simple one-page weekly. This one is based on a 2-column system. So one column where you have a section for each day of the week, maybe for a meal plan or an events list, something like that, and then a running task list down the other side. At the top you could put a header to describe which week this is for, or you could use it as decoration or for a small quote. Again, all of these different sections are interchangeable with other things. In terms of the spacing for this layout and the next one, you can see that on the screen here. These diagrams were all made in my Excel bullet journal spread planner, which is a perk that I give to my patrons. Theirs comes blank, but they can use it to plan out their different spreads. The layout idea we have on the other side of the spread is a 3x3, so 3 boxes across and 3 boxes down, giving us a total of 9 spaces, so 7 for each of the days of the week, one that I've dedicated to a mini calendar and a top tasks list, and the other one down the bottom we have a habit tracker in. As you can see, the space to write in the habit is only 1 box across, so on this one I've used icons to represent the habits. What if you need a little bit more space though? Maybe your one-page weekly isn't really for you. Well then, in the next ones we do have double page or full spread weeklies. This one is loosely based on the idea of having 6 sections per page, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but as you can see these two have been combined to make a larger section for the habit tracker. Similar idea on the other side, except this combination is for a notes space. This leaves us 8 other boxes, so 1 for each day of the week, and then 1 for top tasks, mini calendar, whatever you want to use it for. In terms of the sizing of that one, you can see that on the screen here. The numbers down the side and along the top represent the grid spacings rather than the grid dots. And I've tried to keep the coloration fairly similar so you can see how the schematic relates to the actual layout. Flipping over, we have another vertical style weekly. I consider vertical style to be any kind of layout where the length of the boxes is larger than the width of the boxes. For this one though, we have split each of the pages into 4 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This gives us 8 spaces, 1 for each day of the week, and then also that extra space to do with as you will. Here you can see the spacings for that layout, and you'll also have seen that the header spaces for each of the boxes is actually a little bit narrower than the writing box itself. This is just a nice and easy way to make your spread look a little bit more decorative, and I've tried to be fairly minimal with the decoration on these layouts, mainly so you can actually see the structure of the layout. But you can really make them your own by changing the color palettes, adding more doodles or decorative elements, changing the fonts or lettering, all of that kind of stuff. Flipping over though, we have another vertical layout. This one is based on the idea of a school timetable, to be completely honest. This is a layout that I used to use because I had 6 periods in a day, but you could of course use these for different things as well. So you might want to batch your tasks together. For instance, things that I need to do at home, things that I need to do at the office, things that I need to do when I'm out and about. Because school for me only ran from Monday to Friday, that is what I've got for the Monday to Friday sections, but Saturday and Sunday are tucked on the side here. And we've also got an additional note section down the bottom. The spacing on this one can be a little bit tricky if you're doing it for the first time, so do make sure to have a look at this picture carefully if you wanted to set it up for yourself. You can of course take screenshots or save the video for later if you wanted to come back to this one and recreate these layouts. My personal preference is for vertical style layouts, but maybe you prefer horizontal ones. In that case, we have 3 ideas for that as well, the first one being this one here. This one is based on the idea of taking the page and cutting it into 4 sections going across, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and the same on the other side. And then I've also taken each of those sections and included a header space, a place to write down tasks or notes, and then a place to write down events for each day. How you actually use any of those spaces is up to you. Maybe instead of events, you might want to have a journaling space, or a place to draw on a doodle for the weather for each day, a place to track your habits on a daily basis, whatever you need it for. The spacing on this one is nice and simple, but remember, if you do have a different size journal to me, so not 26 boxes across and 38 boxes down, you will have to do some tweaking to make sure that you get it all evenly spaced. Flipping on over to another horizontal layout, this one has the kind of horizontal section on the left-hand side here, so Monday through Sunday running down the page. As part of that, we also have two separate sections for each of them, so a place to write events and a place to write notes. And then the page on the right here is sectioned off into 4 different spaces. So home tasks, personal tasks, work tasks, and other tasks. Looking at the spacing of that one, you can of course change any of these category labels to be something that suits you. And we also have an additional row of space at the top left of the spread. That could be used for a header, or it could be used for decoration. In fact, you could make all of the boxes on the right-hand page a little bit smaller if you wanted to include even more decorative elements. Do remember, all of these are ideas, and I want you to take them and tweak them to fit the way that you like to do your planning. Flipping over though, and we have another horizontal layout, but this one has the daily boxes in the middle of the page. So we have roughly a third of the page down each of the sides in each case, so a third of this page and a third of that page, and then we have the remaining 2/3 for that space in the middle. Because I want to buy boxes even, I have combined the weekend into one box, but you could of course have 3 on this side and 4 on that side, or vice versa, if you wanted to have a separate box for each of the days of the week. Having a look at the spacing of that one, you can see that the places on the sides of the page I've got 4 of. So on the right hand side, I've just put this down as a task list. And then on the left hand side, we have the mini calendar, a place for like priorities or must do tasks, and then a small habit tracker, again using those icons. Maybe though a single spread still isn't enough space for you. Totally fair. And in that case, we could use a Dutch door layout. So Dutch door layouts typically require you to either cut your page, like we have here, or what you can use are tip-ins, which I'll show you in a bit. As you can see from the spacing here, the section in black is the place that we've cut away, and because this is a Dutch door layout, you're actually going to end up using 2 full spreads to do it. So this is side A's spacing, but then you can see here, we also have side B's spacing, so the next spread in the notebook. Again, that large black section on the left is the space that you'll have cut away to set up the layout. Having a look at the physical layout though, you can see that we have split each of the pages kind of into 4 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then the space that's over here would have been 3 and 4. So we have a space for each day of the week from Monday through Friday. And then if we flip over, we have Saturday and Sunday on the other side. On the underside of the Dutch door, we've combined 2 of those spaces to make one large space for a to-do list, and then again combined the 2 spaces that would have been on this side to make a meal plan section. Dutch doors can be a little bit daunting though, but I found that this type of Dutch door, where you're cutting away from the side of your journal, this is what I call a vertical Dutch door because this part is longer than it is wide. These ones are a little bit more approachable because you don't need to bring scissors near the spine of your notebook, which can be a little bit scary. Moving into the scary territory though, we of course have a layout that does have a horizontal Dutch door. So you can see on this one, we've cut away the top of the page so that we just have this part in the middle, which covers the bottom. Again, this one is loosely based on the idea of taking each page and splitting it into 4 sections. So you can see we have a section for each of the days from Monday through Thursday. And then when we flip the Dutch door over, we have Friday through Sunday and also a note space. At the top section though, because this is the part that you'll actually be able to see regardless of which way you flip the Dutch door, we have a projects list, or maybe like a top priorities, top tasks for the week kind of space, a habit tracker with a little space to write down each of those habits, and then a space on the left hand side which has the initials for each of the days of the week, and really you could put anything in here. It could be a meal planner, it could be an event space, it could be a place to write out 1 line a day or some kind of like memory keeping stuff. Whole bunch of ideas, and I do actually have a separate video that you might want to check out on things that you can include in your weekly spreads. As we look at the spacing for this one here though, remember that you do need to be careful if you're cutting away the top side of any page in your journal. If you're bringing scissors near the center of your notebook, can be a little scary, do need to make sure we're being careful. So this one is side A, and then of course we do have side B, or the second spread of the Dutch door layout. Again, anything in black is the part that we've cut away. I do of course have a playlist of different Dutch door layout ideas if that's something in particular you want to explore, and that one's linked in the description box below. As we said, taking scissors to your journal can be a little bit daunting, kinda scary, and we also have the top section of this page that we don't want to waste. So what you can do to set up Dutch doors is use that section to just tip in another piece of paper. So by tip in, I effectively just mean stick in. So this is what that cutaway paper ended up becoming. It's effectively a little Dutch door layout, but you didn't have to cut the page itself. Having a look at the spacing of that layout, this one's a little bit special because we're not cutting away any of the page itself, but we do have to allow a space to tip in the tip in. So you can see the grey box here is where that tape would be attached. We then also need to look at the spacing for the tip in itself, and you can see we've got space down the side of each side of that tip in so that we can attach the tape to that as well. Again, you can screenshot any of the layout ideas we've had, either in their, physically presented form or the schematic pictures, if you wanted to recreate them for yourself. But for this one, you can see we have a small to-do list down the side. I say small in the sense of narrow, not in the sense of long, because it's plenty long enough. We also have a habit tracker at the top. Our tip-in has a gratitude space and a space to outline any kind of challenges for the week. You can think of those as being on the underside of the tip-in because they might be a little bit more personal, including your memories for the week. We have a column for a meal plan or a meal log, depending on how you want to use it, and also a space for notes. So this one doesn't have any daily boxes, but you could of course change any parts of these layouts to actually include those if you wanted to. If you do end up recreating any of these layouts, do be sure to tag me so I can check them out. But if you want even more weekly spread inspiration, the playlist on screen is where it's at. I'll see you over there.